Yo, what's good? You know what's good. It is Word on the Streets. Your favorite 3x3 podcast is back fresh off of a long Mongolia trip that had the Women's Series World Tour, a quest, and of course, one of the most memorable World Cups we ever have held. Not just that, helicopter rides, rain showers, sleet, some friendly poker. We'll get into that later. And a trip to outer Mongolia. We had an incredible time, and we're just now kind of, Bas, I don't even know if I got my feet back yet. What about you?
I'm actually good. I landed, and I had some good sleep on the plane, but I'm still recovering mentally from all the upsets. And I think the theme for the week was expect the unexpected, and there was a lot of unexpected stuff. Let me tell you, that was a wild World Cup. Yeah, man. Enjoyable to me, very enjoyable.
We got a lot to break down. Storylines. We got to eat our own words because we got to revisit our picks, fellas. Are y'all ready?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right,
Let's do it.
Let's get to it on this episode of
Word on the streets.
All right, let's dive right in it. Not the games, because Boz, we'd be remiss. Vince, you missed out. But Boz, we'd be remiss to not discuss the off-the-court activities in Mongolia. From our trip to outer Mongolia, VIP access, right? We got picked up in a Maybach, right, Boz?
We did get picked up in a Maybach. Man, shout out to Bot. He did us good. He said, "Hey guys, you have a day off in between the World Tour and the World Cup. Do you want to come with me and check out the Mongolian countryside?" Like, all right, sure. We had talked about it before, didn't know it was going to happen, but he invited us out. So he said, "Be outside the hotel at 9:15 in the morning." So we stand out there at 9:15. This big ass Maybach pulls up. Me and Kyle get in the car. Mind you, Kyle was prepared, right? The man's wearing a full Western outfit. He's got the.
I should have brought my cowboy hat for the pod. Dang!
You should have brought your cowboy hat for the pod.
He looked like Brokeback Carter. I ain't gonna lie.
Only thing he was missing was a leather vest with those phrase on it.
See, I was gonna say it was an enjoyable trip. I've been catching strays from Boz for a whole week now. That's all right. I got something for you.
All right, that's cool. No, anyways, though, we get driven out to a helicopter pad, and we end up taking off and flying over the Mongolian countryside for, say, about 45 minutes to an hour. Beautiful, and the most remote I've ever been in my life. I think the road stopped after 10 minutes. I don't think we saw people after 12. And it was straight mountains, trees. Bot talked to us about the history of the Mongolian people and the country. And eventually we pull up in this, I guess a valley with a big cliff face with some snow on it, and a helicopter lands. Table gets pulled out. Like there's drinks, there's food, there's steak from a locally sourced farm. Man, just an incredible day, to be honest with you.
There were wild horses as well that showed up randomly, about 15 of them across the lake.
Really?
We saw them in the distance, yeah. Wild horses, and even some some tourists that took like a 5-day trek in. Like I think that's what Bot says. It takes 5 days to ride a horse to that location that we were at. We saw some people out there. Grass-fed beef. What Boz is leaving out is we also played some friendly poker.
You know why I'm leaving it out?
Friendly
no money.
poker. This ain't
because,
nothing friendly about it.
No, because there's no money exchanged here. This was for fun, bragging rights, and there's a certain individual that may or may not have come out on top. I don't really know who that might be. Boz, you want to tell them who that might have been? Maybe, I don't know.
Let's just say that I was out early, and that a certain person here with a hat on may or may not have won the tournament because I dealt him an ace at some point.
Was it Texas Hold'em? 5-card poker? What was it?
Come on now. Me with that cowboy hat on, what else would it be?
You doing Texas?
No win or hold 'em.
Okay.
Know when to fold. Okay, yeah.
No,
No,
but
that
I
was
have
just-
to.
No,
No,
go ahead.
I
My
got
bad.
to interject because
Man.
I was watching from afar. Got to talk to Esteban. Got to talk to Matt. I got to get out to one of these trips. But the steak looked amazing. It looked succulent and juicy and natural. It had no preservative. It looked like they killed it in the back and brought it to you. When Bas went in the helicopter, I didn't know he could fit. He looked like a G.I. Joe. Like,
That was
I'm
rough.
like, I was like, bro, your knees are on your chin. But he had the headset, and I was like, this looks crazy. We got Cowboy Montgomery, the sheriff in town, just decked out. I don't know where you get those boots. I mean, you look like Woody from Toy Story. I didn't know they made a black version.
Texas.
Like, it was,
from Texas.
but that was authentic. And I was having a lot of fun just watching y'all because it looked like you guys needed that peaceful. And shout out
yes.
to all the fathers out there because you two are fathers. There's going to be a new father to a new kid, one of these guys with the trucker hat. Shout out, Bas, you just became a father. So I understand you guys need that break. When I said I looked at y'all and it looked like, they had a day at the quote-unquote spa, as one would say. This was a man's exit trip with all the excitement waiting for you in Ulaanbaatar, waiting for you in the arena. I was just happy that my brothers got to chill a little bit because I know you guys deserved it. But man, that food looked good. I want that food.
No, it's one of those experiences that you won't forget for a lifetime. We'll be 80 years old and we can still remember that day that we spent in that valley, man. Just the sights and the sounds and the smells and the peace and the food. Like, we even smoked a couple of cigars. Like we did so much cool shit out there. We forgot some of it. But that was just the beginning of the trip. Then we go into the World Cup, right? And that story kind of speaks for itself. But we got to get into that too, Bas. This is your third World Cup?
Second, I believe. Actually, outside of playing, of course.
Well,
second on the mic. Because I was I was there in 23 in Vienna. I wasn't there in 22. So yeah. Second World Cup.
So on the mic, what was that like this one compared to your first one?
I was still nervous because it's the biggest event of the year, right? And I prepped a bunch, but these World Cups are beasts, right? We did 104 games in 7 days.
Yes, indeed, we did.
We did.
People down listening to Word on the Street. You hear that? 104. Not 12, not 15, not 26, not 36. 104. These two gentlemen had them vocal cords working. No one lost their voice. Yo, I gotta give you that credit. That's what I'm talking about.
Think about this. I used to do all 104 by myself before Bas came to save me.
You the GOAT. We already know you the GOAT, but hey, yo, that credit to y'all do. Flowers.
Yeah.
No,
Hey, that voice sounds like it recovered pretty well.
No. All I need is 24 hours. I'm different. I'm built different. But by day 6, day 7, Bas kept looking at me. My voice kept cracking. He was looking concerned. He kept like doing this to me. He was like, "You good?" I'm like, "Yeah." But we had to power through. But it also, you're gonna lose your voice when you are screaming as much as we were. Because that World Cup was absolutely unbelievable. I know we're gonna get into the World Cup later. We're gonna have to decide whether it was the best World Cup ever. That's a conversation for later. But it was certainly one of a kind. It was unique in that way. I would say that.
Yeah, you're right. And I think a couple of things that stuck with me is the crowds turned up, man. I love the fact that the Mongolian crowd was there all week long. Mm-hmm. I don't think I've seen the venue at half capacity at any point, right, during the game.
Well, I would say the only time was in the rain delays.
The monsoons. There were rain delays.
Expect the unexpected. We had about 17 seasons out there. It was hot, then it was rainy, then we had hail, then we barely missed out on snow, and then thunder came down, and then it was hot again.
Wait a
Thunder
minute.
and lightning.
Oh my goodness.
So there was a live broadcast. It's starting to rain, and Cal always has this like tone of like, help me. So I was like, all right. All of a sudden, Boz is like, hey man, I'm getting rain on, and Cal's so small compared to him. He's like, I'm not feeling nothing. And Boz is like, I'm feeling it. He's like, and all you hear is yeah.
Oh, that was a hail.
It's on my back.
That was a hail.
Yeah.
I was like, you good?
Real talk. That was the hell.
That was a hail. Felt like I got shot with a BB gun.
But Boz, I actually feel like that was one of the more underrated moments of the whole experience. Is that
Agreed.
I don't think Vince and them got a chance to see it on stream, but for me, it was like a galvanizing moment for the crew, the floor crew, the media team. People were dancing in the rain. They had their own like little VIP section up underneath the tent with the water coming down. It was like all these adults turned into kids. We made the most out of those out of the rain delay. We could have been mad because the days were already long, 20 games, and people could have been pissed and saying, but we're dancing. The DJs are queuing up the right music. People are singing, dancing in the rain. It was actually cool. It's an underrated moment of the World Cup.
I saw it. There was people puddling. I think also you guys were like Omarion in the music videos. Some of y'all became like Step Up, spinning. I thought people were gonna start diving in. Like it looked fun. But because you didn't see this on the broadcast, we have rain delays for other world tours, and it's like, all right, rain delay, cool. The way the crew snapped and put on that cover was like lightning fast, like firefighter F1 fast. Ba. But usually you see a couple of drops like on the screen. I saw the rain coming down and the camera angle. You have this stream of water going across the camera. I'm like, oh, it is monsooning. Like I thought you guys were gonna make it.
Oh, it was a flood, and shout out to the grounds crew, because I'll tell you this: I've been a part of rain delays in a bunch of events, even back home, and organizing some events. They brought out some industrial blow dryers. That court was crisp within the hour, bro. And I'm telling you, this court was flooded. It was a swimming pool.
Yeah,
and there was no way that we were going to play that day. And they brought out these big guns, these huge blow drying guns. And they said, don't worry, we'll play in an hour. And I just laughed at them. I was like, buddy, there's no way. There is absolutely no way we're playing in an hour. They got that done. And that was look, shout out. That was incredible. I've never seen anything like it. And you're right, Kyle. That was a bonding experience, I think, for a lot of people. So I really enjoyed that. You know what else stuck with me though?
What's that?
And we're going to talk about the Mongolian ladies, of course, at some point here. But the fact that I walk into the venue on the finals day, right? So semifinal, final day on Sunday. There was a line starting at 9 in the morning for the free tickets going into the venue. And that line, and the games weren't played until 5 in the afternoon. 9 in the morning, and the line was unending. And everybody wanted to get in.
And the people that didn't get in, there were hundreds of people outside of the venue. Like it was incredible. It was incredible. When people say that 3x3 is the number one sport in Mongolia, that was the proof right there. That was the proof right there. It was actually 2 lines, Boz. I saw 2 long lines to get in. It was crazy.
It was incredible, and we had some big guests pop up. Some Mongolian legends. One of the best, or if not the best, sumo wrestler of all time is apparently from Mongolia. He was there. One of the champions of Mongolian wrestling was there. Man, just the sheer amount of people that showed up and supported the World Cup and their squads was insane. Even, I think I mentioned this on the broadcast. Apparently, there was one Puerto Rican in all of Mongolia, and he just made his way to the venue. Samuel, shout out. And the man started supporting Puerto Rico with a flag and a shirt. And
the team brought him. He DM'd the president of the team, Oscar, and asked if he can come along. And Oscar said, "Yeah, sure, it'd be good for you to come along and give him the experience." So. Shout out to them for doing it. That was cool.
No, I will say this, and I said with 3x3, there's 2 countries, no matter where they are, they come out, which is Serbia and Mongolia. You can be in Antarctica. You can be in the backwoods of Australia to a place you don't even know has electricity. And a 3x3 tournament, there's going to be a Mongolian flag and a Serbian flag ready to go. And that's what I want to ask both of you. with that spirit toward 3x3, and as you said, it looked packed. It reminded me of when you guys had the Masters in the Netherlands when people were standing room only. What was it like with just the electricity going into games when you hear that walkout music for the both Mongolian teams? Like, what was that like?
Yeah, almost spiritual, man. I'll tell you. Kyle, I'll let you have this, but that was almost a spiritual experience.
I mean, that's a perfect description. I don't know, man. It felt like you wanted to be a part of it. And we don't cheer for any team. We have to be non-biased, impartial when we cover the games. But it made you want to be a Mongolian. It just made you want to be a part of that vibe, man, because the energy literally, it just flowed through the entire venue. When they came out, every play was either cheers when they did something good or boos against the other team. And they weren't obviously the same when a Mongolian team wasn't playing. The energy was still high.
Yeah.
But when the Mongolian teams played, the vibe was crazy. They were loud. They were cheering, jumping up and down. The emotion when the women's team won, I mean, you could see people crying in the stands, hugging each other. You know, it was like an extension of their 3x3 family that they were surrounded by with the fans. It was unbelievable, unforgettable.
Yes, start to finish, because you hear that come out, the music, whatever. So that's when you start getting pumped, right? Even as an impartial commentator, you sit there and you're like, oh, okay, now the hairs on my arms are standing up. Like, what's going on? And then after, and this will stick with me forever, right? And Kyle, I don't know if you remember this, but after the wins for especially the Mongolian ladies, the crowd, the people outside of the venue, and the team would stay on the court and they would sing this one song. I don't know what the song is, but they would all put their phones up with the lights on, and they would sing as loud as they could. They would all sing this one song in tune, all of them, the whole crowd, maybe the whole square even. And that was just, again, one of those. It was like a spiritual experience, man. That yeah.
I
Awesome
like
moment.
I hate to kill the mood here. The positive vibe is about the venue and the experience, but I think we got to revisit our picks because thanks to the Mongolian ladies in particular, there was some brackets busted. But before we tell our picks prior to the World Cup, let's actually go over the podium. Let's start with the ladies. Canada, oh Canada. They rose to the occasion without the Plouffe sisters, won a bronze medal. The Mongolian women were one step away from completing the Cinderella story. They lose in the finals to guess who? The Netherlands. All right, so Netherlands gold, Mongolia silver, Canada bronze. For the men, should I go directly into the men?
Yes, sir.
All right. All right, and for the men, bronze medalists of 2025. Serbia. A lot of people picked them for gold this year. They got it together in the bronze medal game and beat the young Germans. Credit to them. Silver medalists, and I don't give a damn what either one of y'all say. Nobody saw this coming. Switzerland take their first medal at the World Cup ever. Happens to be a silver. They lose, of course, in the gold medal game to Spain. And here they come. We're going to get into the teams. Those were the podiums. Now, how about those picks, gentlemen? What did those sound like on the last episode?
I can recap it here.
Okay, all right.
So for the women's, 2 out of 3 here picked the Netherlands to win. I'll take some credits there. No worries.
Okay, me too.
Kyle
Me
as
too.
well.
Yeah.
Vince may not have said Germany was going to try to win a medal there. Yeah, that didn't happen.
It was matter on the roster.
Yeah.
I said the roster. I said the roster.
Okay. All right, keep it going. Who else?
and then for the men, me and Yuka, we picked Serbia, and they didn't live up to that expectation. They came in third. Yikes. And Vince, you picked the USA.
They balled. They balled, though, okay? They played decent defense, but I will say it when we get to our section on it. One thing they need, and I was actually talking to Zaire Carrington, shout out to Zaire Carrington, part of Princeton, but also doing a lot of stuff for USA Basketball. Interior post defense. They don't have that. I really started to analyze him. Mitch Hahn is the only big man. No one else can stop. When they were playing against Fabian Giesman, his drop step was just an upset. That's all he did.
You can rationalize your bad pick later, Vince.
Oh my God, that's not a bad pick. No, I was down for them. I stand on my 2 feet, 10 toes, stand on business.
Actually, since you're saying that, Kyle, let's grade our own picks here. Yeah, I don't mind it. For all these takes actually, because we had some more takes. Kyle, Vince, what did you think about that USA pick there? What grade would you give yourself? Let's go with the USA scale here.
I give it, personally, the way Dylan stepped up, 8.2. 8.2, maybe down to 7.9. That range right there.
So like B minus, pretty
much.
Like
a B minus. I'll give myself a B minus on that one. Because the way they were coming out, Henry Crucial still tried. The Henergy, shout out to that new name we're probably going to call him. The Henergy is definitely doing his thing. Was seeing if he's going to step up. Mitch had to make his shots. He had to make more big-time shots. Shooting was okay, but Dylan was that man. Dylan was that offensive juggernaut that we've been waiting for him to break out. We're kind of talking about which superstar. And Kyle, I'm going to shout you out on this. You say, you don't know if Dylan's a superstar on USA. He has superstar qualities, and I think he is that. And I said the last podcast, as a 2-time Olympian, I misspoke. I was like a 2-time Olympian for the next Olympics is going to have LA. I think he's going to be in that team for the experience. I was really proud of that. James Parrott, defense, lacking doing his thing, but I after that German game, I saw that the post interior defense is absolutely lacking. They need more size. They need more strength. If they had someone like Bash Hamilton, even a Jerome on him, DeRozé, someone of that body size would be cool, because Mitch Hahn is a tweener. He's not really a big man. He's a big man, but he doesn't play big. So when you go against that, it's crazy. What are you going to say, boss?
I'll say this, and this is something that a lot of teams fell victim to, I think, in a tournament. Once you're used to a guy going off the way that Dylan Travis did in pool play, right? If you're used to a guy doing that, shooting 64% from 2, knocking down every shot, if he doesn't show, and in the game against Germany, he scored 1 point. If he doesn't show, the team is going to struggle to adapt to that situation. And I think a lot of teams fell victim to similar experiences where a player, Latvia, for instance, Gluditis, he scored 18 points in his first game, and afterwards he never hit a shot. And his team was always trying to get him the looks to try to repeat, not 18 points, of course, but repeat like a good shooting performance, and it never happened. So you'll see a lot of teams expect something from a player, and then once that player don't show, point with Giesman as well in that third place game against Serbia, he barely scored any points.
Yeah,
it's tough to adjust on the fly as a squad. So I think USA fell victim to that. I don't mind the way they played. I think this is a team that is going to try to outshoot people anyways. Mm-hmm. But I agree with you, the fact that they do need a little size there.
What is it about this USA team and that German team? If you remember the quarterfinals in Vienna, the Germans beat them then too. And then they repeated at the quarterfinals here at the World. It's not a bad pick, because I think I actually picked the USA men to take a silver. If my memory serves me correct, I picked them playing Serbia, and I picked Serbia to win gold, then to pick silver. They played great. I mean, listen, coming out of group play, I thought they played the best 3x3 of essentially any team. But it was on the strength of Dylan Travis, like Bas said, shooting lights out. And I questioned whether or not it was sustainable unless they found more balance. They didn't do it. I think Mitch played tight. I think Henry's going to be Henry no matter what situation it is. It comes down to Mitch Hahn or James Parrott stepping up their game. I picked James Parrott to be a breakout player in this tournament. We're going to get into that later, the breakout play. And it's not that he didn't perform well. I think he played okay. I think he played fine. I think Mitch Hahn played okay. He played fine.
Okay, yeah.
But playing okay and playing fine at that stage isn't going to win you a medal. You've got to elevate your game at the World Cup. And for them to finish without a medal, I know it's incredibly disappointing for them. And to add insult to injury, to also have the women's team, which has been the most dominant women's federation in the World Cup history in the USA with 3 gold medals, for them not to medal, this was not a good event for the USA. I hate it. It sounds like I'm bagging on them, and I got love for them. I even picked the USA women to medal. I think I picked them for bronze, but to go home empty-handed with the talent they had, and to waste that incredible performance from Dylan Travis up into the quarterfinals, that one kind of stung, man. To me, that kind of stung.
I can imagine. Now, all right, let's shift because we had a couple of takes on breakout stars, right? Superstars who needed a rising moment, as well as rising ballers.
Mm-hmm.
I'll step up first. So I said superstars who needed a rising moment, and I'm 0 for 2. So I'll grade myself an E here. Yeah, I said Claudia Pop. Now, Claudia Pop did make it into the round of 16, but Hungary struggled mightily, and Claudia did too. Actually, I didn't mind her scoring and rebounding, 4.5 points per game, 4.8 rebounds per game. But her team was top 5 in turnovers per game, and she averaged 3 of them. And in the play-in loss to the Netherlands, which was a blowout, Hungary got ran off the court. She only scored 2 points. So for me, and look, I think Claudia
Hold on,
Pop brings
Bas. She got injured in that game, if you remember. She fell on her back. She wasn't able to play the last 3.5 minutes of the game.
Sure. I agree.
All right.
But I do think, again, people talk about her as a superstar because she's been around 3x3 for so long. I think she's more served as kind of that secondary player that does a lot of things right on the court. If she has to be the main creator, I think she struggles. So that was an 0 for take. And then Pukelis on the men's end. Lithuania was not good. Let's be frank here. 1-3 in pool plays, and then they went out. They placed 16th. But the main thing that struck me here is the fact that Pukelis wasn't the usual alpha dog he is on when he plays on the pro circuit, right on Vars, right? He's the focal point of the offense there. He averages 8 points per game, a bunch of rebounds. And I think that team really deferred to Titus Janisavicius and gave him a lot of looks and a lot of shots. I think they changed their offensive approach. They ran a bunch of different plays that I haven't seen from them, again, on the pro circuit. I didn't see it from them in the Europe Cup qualifiers a few weeks back. And then for Pukelis, he averaged 5.3 points per game. Sure, he was only 1 of 10 from 2. He turned the ball over almost 2.5 times per game. And just not a good performance from him. And the team as well, just kind of lost out there with no balance, no sense of urgency. I think they played one really good game, which they ended up losing against the Netherlands, a game that was broken up halfway through because of hail and rain. Mm-hmm. That was maybe even one of the more high-quality games of the entire tournament. Pukelis had a shot to win it, got blocked by Worthy, and then Worthy hits the 2 to get the win there for the Netherlands. I missed a coherent game plan. I missed this offensive savviness I usually see from them. I missed Pukelis stepping up and being the big dog and the alpha on the squad. So yeah, an E on my takes there. Kyle, just to remind you, your players, superstars who needed a rising moment were Mané and Segela.
Well, safe to say that they did not pass that test. I think Segela was at 5 points a game, but he was 2 of 14 from beyond the 2-point arc. France as a whole, to me, that was just a disastrous tournament. And while Frank played okay, his numbers were down compared to the Pro Tour. Like I said, 5 a game. They made a ton of mistakes. I guess one of the biggest mistakes, which I don't want to get too deep into, wasn't exactly the player's mistake, more of a staffing error where they forced an overtime against China that didn't actually need to happen for them to advance. It was a disaster. Frank did not step up and lift himself into superstardom or solidify himself as let's say a top 5 player in the game with his performance there. But Paul Joko played poorly, right? Rambeau was okay. Raphael Wilson balled out. So he kind of let me down. And Marty Mane, my God, I how do I say this? And I want to be nice, but
Can
come
I
on.
not be nice? Can I do it?
No, she was bad. The first no, the first 4 games she looked afraid. She looked rattled. It looked like the stage was too big for her. She was pressing. She was turning the ball over. You constantly saw teammates trying to pick her up and get her back focused. There were some psychological things. And I was stunned because I know her ability. I've seen her hoop. She is an incredible player. And to see her kind of wilt under the pressure on that stage was shocking to me. The French women's result was shocking to me. I didn't pick them as a favorite in the tournament, but their success is going to be predicated on how well she plays. She's supposed to be the focal point of that offense. She's the most dynamic player on that offense. Don't talk to me about Droguet and the other reinforcements. These are role players. She's the star. She's the one that has the X factor, and she didn't perform. So my 2 stars that were supposed to perform on this stage that I said, this is your moment, they did not. They did not.
Kyle, you actually going to give her a dope nickname on the broadcast. Marie
Yes,
Nightmare. Nightmare. Nightmare was going to be nice, but the way you're describing it, she was her own nightmare. She was way into her head. She was in the sucking place.
Nightmare.
She was having a night terror on the court, but she could be a lot better. When you said nightmare, I was like, oh yeah, but then I looked at it and said, she better wake up. She's in the sucking place right now. Something's going on. But you're absolutely right, man.
She picked it up in their last pool play game. She played better. She hit a couple of twos. I forget who they played in that game, but it was too little, too late. Okay, yeah, but it was too little, too late at that point. So overall, it was a disappointing performance for her and Frank Segala. Y'all better than that. Y'all know y'all better than that.
I'll say this about the French women, and I'll keep it short, but I think they've been stuck playing that same brand, same system of 3x3 basketball, and they've been trying to put different talent into that system. I think the system for now is not working anymore. But
anyway. They used to have two dynamic guards, ball handlers, right? They had Locoso, right, and Guapo.
Yeah,
those were your 2 ball handlers. They were downhill players. The system worked for them, but now they got and obviously with Page too. So they got some things to work out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I'm up.
Yes. Start the victory parade here. Let's go, Vince. You picked. you picked Sasha Grant Allen. You actually had 3 picks on this one. Dylan Travis and Antonio Rolat. Go ahead. Take your A.
I'm just going to take out Dylan Travis. Again, the way he shot was incredible. We already talked about him. Shout out to him stepping up as the offensive mind on this team. But, Kyle said it beautifully. Once you start relying on a guy too much, does he break or does he stand firm? As you saw, USA crumbled. So that's cool, but I think he still played pretty well. SGA, Sasha Grant Allen, leading blocks. I wanted her to finish more through the contact. She's basically the tallest woman there, but played a very great game. Ugly game and very low scoring game with Spain, 10-11, but she did have 6 points on the board. And that was a brutal game to watch. Then gets taken out by your Lions, your Orange Lions, the Netherlands, but then steps up going against Poland in a smack-a-lackin', 21-9.
Yes.
It was like taking.
That could have been 21-2. Actually, that game was over.
Yeah,
when it started.
I thought she was gonna be much better because we talked about that young lady in the last podcast. She was nowhere to be found. Could be tired. I mean, look, like you said, 7 days. But SGA, give it to her. I wrote in my notes that Canada may fall apart from the lack of leadership without the Plouffe sisters, because usually they're the captains on the team. You get a little bit of vocal from Paige, not a lot from Ms. Brown, and Casey is always so hyper. They had to come together. Eventually, they got on that podium, but SGA, definitely the leader on that squad. And we have to give credit to my last, just sneak peek, Antonio Ralat, leading player on the World Cup. averaging over 10 points. Or was it over about 50-60% from one, 40% from two, perfect from the line, 11 for 11 with 15 key assists. That Puerto Rico team is a problem with him when he's on. Sadly, they didn't make it all the way, but he proved, he's here to stay. He proves that, as we talked before, that mofongo is real. That mofongo gave him that power.
Hey, he's a bad mofongo.
Oh boy.
Bad mofongo
He's
indeed.
a bad mofongo. No, the bold take that I did make that actually hit was I picked Netherlands men as a potential frog / fraud, right? And I said to y'all that they had the potential to engage too much with the officiating, right? Mm-hmm. And allow it to psychologically affect their game on the floor. Mm-hmm. And we saw that come to fruition with the Netherlands men's team. There's no reason why that team should not have been on the podium. I'm not saying that they should have won gold, but I said that I think that they certainly could have. Pound for pound, man for man, they've proven that they can beat the best consistently.
Yep.
But I thought they lacked that fortitude. They lacked that mental focus, and they lacked that maturity in the games where the calls weren't going their way, and that's one of the reasons why they ended up out. Also, it didn't help to run into a Switzerland team that was red hot, right? And that shocked the entire field. No excuse, but I'd be remiss not to mention that too. Switzerland was absolutely balling.
No, and look, with the Netherlands, you could clearly see there were two different versions of the way they played, right? So they had games where they attacked the basket, where Worthy was going to the rim, where Di Maio was hitting his floaters, where BA was hitting the long shots, and I think that balance is needed for that squad. And I think in that game against Switzerland, but also in the game they lost in the round of 16 against Germany, it was clear that in phases of the game, I think for the full 10 minutes against Switzerland and for the last 2 minutes against Germany, they fall in love with shooting contested twos, sidestep twos, when they're tired, when they feel pressured, when they play athletic opponents. And I think that's where they lost those games. Switzerland forced them into contested looks from two. They missed all of them. Germany, in those last couple of minutes when they came back from a 6-point deficit to take that game from the Dutch, they forced them into a lot of contested twos. They never went to the rim, they never went to the basket, and there was no balance on the squad. So that's unfortunate. Now, let me give you guys some credit before we move on your rising baller takes, because Kyle, you predicted Alexandra Ziemborska to go off, and she did until the medal game, of course, but she had a heck of a tournament. I think she ended up maybe leading scorer even on the women's side or close to it anyways.
She was top three. I think she was third in scoring, 6 points per game, 42% from two. I think that we saw Alexandra Ziemborska grow up before our eyes. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. She's become, more and more popular in women's 3x3 over the past couple of years. Bas, you made a great call at the U23 World Cup. Was it last year?
2023.
So, I'm calling her Miss Popola. Popola. She was right. She was great, but not just the offense. Bas and I talked about it on the broadcast. It was her two-way ability. She would guard the bigs, and she would guard on the perimeter. The effort was there. The heart was there. The execution was there. The will was there. All the way until the elimination rounds, and obviously they got into that overtime game with Mongolia. She didn't play her best. They lose that contest, and then with a chance to win bronze against Canada, she did not show up. And I don't care how well you played throughout the tournament, you got to continue in the games that mean the most. When you get to that medal game, you got to dig deep, and I didn't see that from her or the team.
I couldn't agree more. Now, Vince, on your end, your rising baller on the men's side was Guim Exposito, the MVP of the tournament. So that's an A-plus take. I'll tell you.
Vince? I think Vince might be in the lead.
Low-key, Vince is in the lead.
This is crazy.
And I was gonna wait until later because I know I'm the young buck. I know I'm the greenheart. When I get into these podcasts, I'm watching from home on my couch in my boxes, and I'm rooting y'all along. And I know y'all there, but I do know a little bit of 3x3. I know a little bit of 3x3, okay, everybody listen here. Now, Guim Exposito was awesome, but I'm not gonna lie. Hooper. I'm thinking Ivan should have got that MVP.
No, it was
No.
Auto Cochea.
Article
It
Champ.
was Ivan the Destroyer.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Now,
saying.
if we talk about MVP of the gold medal game, then it was De Blas. It
was-
was
Yeah,
it
Diego
was
de Blas.
DDB. It was DDB.
I'm
He
talking
scored
about
12 in
the
that game.
entire World Cup. This dude was averaging 7 points a game. Let's go down the stats real quick. 54.2 player value. This dude was 80% from the floor. Didn't have to shoot a 2. And literally was a defensive force.
Yes.
Bouncing everyone
But
out
Vince,
of that post.
you'd have to do 3 or 4 of these scrolls up to get to him. All you got to do is look at the top of the charts. Ivan Autocochea was 7 a game. He was dominating through the entire tournament, not just
That's the point. That's the
That's
point
the
Vince
point
is
I'm
making.
making.
Oh, okay,
Listen,
okay.
And
I know you're the old buck.
No, it sounded like you said Exposito.
No, I said Exposito I picked, yes. But I'm saying I think Ivan should have got MVP.
Ah, okay.
That's
You're right.
This how
You're
I
right.
know
You're
he's
right.
the
Not
mentor.
agree.
He don't want to listen.
Wait, Bas don't even agree.
I don't agree.
You don't agree?
What?
Why don't you
No,
agree?
I don't agree.
Why-
Ivan played incredible, and again, I don't want to discredit him at all. He played a wonderful tournament.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that made that team work
Was win.
was Guim Exposito.
Yeah.
The thing that made that team work. He was second on the team in scoring, first on the team in key assists by a long shot. And guess who was feeding the destroyer?
Yeah,
Exposito.
that's true.
He was first on the team in drives. He hit a high percentage of his 2s, even though he didn't take many. He got to the rim when necessary. And I agree. Ivan was the leading scorer on the team.
Yeah.
I think the most valuable player on the team, and in that case, the most valuable player of the tournament, Guim Exposito. Look, we're not even keeping you're not even keeping track of steals and deflections here.
True.
Oh,
If we would have kept,
I'm not saying that. No, I agree with the MVP. I think there was an argument for sure for Ivan.
well, yeah,
for-
100%.
an
There's
argument
no argument.
for
No.
Ivan.
Like I
Yes.
said, as I said, I think when I watched it, I said coming in here, this man from Spain representing Barcelona can ball. He can play 3x3. I saw him once in real life and went, this guy is nice. But as you said, boss, the craftiness going to the rim, absolutely outstanding. Incredible. This dude was a conquistador. I don't know what they say it in Spain. He was conquering.
Conquistador.
Conquistador. There you go. I don't know Spanish. I'm American. Okay. So I speak I speak 2 languages, English and bad English. But absolutely one of those forces to be reckoned with. Did we expect Spain to go that far? We have a guy, I think his name was Alan on the podcast. Watch it on YouTube. And thank you to everybody who's been subscribing. We got up to 64 subscribers. We're going to get up to 100 soon. He literally said, loving the pod, none of y'all picked Spain as a dark horse? None of y'all?
no,
And we're like,
and we.
no, we weren't.
Why would we though?
Well,
They were very unproven at this stage.
Absolutely.
This is a team that
Yes.
is never featured in the World Cup before. Exposito was an add to the team even. No. Look, I thought they could mess up the pool a little bit. I didn't think they would make it all the way to the finals and win the gold.
But
There's no way.
I think we did, in our defense, we did make, or at least I made mention of Spain as a team to look out for.
You mentioned
I
it, yeah.
mentioned them in the same breath as I mentioned Germany.
Mm-hmm.
I said I couldn't go all in on these 2 teams because they were so unproven. But I said that Spain is coming; they're turning the corner. But now, Spain is here. they
Yeah.
about to turn 3x3 on its ear right now.
And
Oh yeah, you're right.
I have to mention this because I actually DM'd Carlos Martinez. I DM'd him saying congratulations because he saw that beautiful video, him crying underneath the tent, winning it. And I want to say this with so much conviction. He's been on a Switzerland team, which is kind of ironic. He takes out that Swiss team to win the gold medal, right? We've seen how much work Carlos Martinez puts in, but never gets out on the other side. He doesn't come out with those wins on the World Tour and when he goes to the Cup. I think he's, and not just pure love of the game, one of the most deserving people to get this gold. And I think has affected him the most because of all the work he puts in. Shout out to Carlos, man. You got a great team in Spain. You're representing your country. I know you've been going around, but I said I'm going to shout you out on this podcast. Hats off to you. You did the dirty work. You weren't the star. No, but you did what you needed to do. You scored when you needed to score. You played defense when you needed to play defense. Carlos,
Yeah.
you did your thing.
I'm happy for him too, man. He's one of my favorite players in 3x3. Humble, humanitarian, all around good. You could tell that he loves the game.
Yeah.
And he's had some ups and downs in his 3x3 career. A lot of turnover, kind of a journeyman, so to speak. Had great numbers 2 years ago, and then he completely fell off a cliff. To be honest, last year on the Pro Tour, with all that turmoil with that Lausanne team, and for him to essentially be the leader, he's the most experienced 3x3 player on that entire squad.
Yeah.
And to help lead that team to gold, and he wasn't just an ornament. Carlos balled. Carlos played well, especially on the final day. Carlos hooped.
Yeah.
You could see something different. He even did a little celebration during the tournament that you don't normally see from Carlos Martinez. He did the Nick Van Exel big what thing. I said, okay, Carlos lit right now. Carlos turned up right now. The silent assassin ain't silent no more.
No, that's not silent.
I gotta come with a new nickname for that man now.
We got to come with a lot of nicknames because look, even Exposito, the best I could come up with was Gwim Shady, but that is.
No, I got one for him already. You can chant it, Gwim VP, Gwim VP, Gwim VP.
All right, I like it.
He's got to win a few more MVPs, but I tell you,
yeah, you're right.
That would be a perfect nickname for him.
All right, so I'm gonna run down a couple of takes here. We don't really have to get into what we said, but and the bold takes we made at the end of the last pod. Kyle, you said the Aussie men will play for a medal. Wah wah. I said Brazil woman will play for a medal. Wah wah. And Vince said Germany men will be on the podium. He was close, actually.
No, stop giving Vince more credit than he's due. The
No.
fact of the matter, no, you don't get a consolation prize. No, listen, no, you said they would be on the podium. They weren't. You were wrong. We were all three wrong.
No. Kyle, go to my receipts. I said Pool A was going to be at least a medal, maybe two. I said bet one medal no matter what, maybe two. Who got a medal?
Serbia.
Who said maybe? Germany.
All right. Well, anyway, see, all right. So I gotta stop giving this man credits because his head is gonna start getting too big and it's gonna pop out of those headphones.
Explosito.
Anyway, we all made a top 6 men's and women's teams, and look, we were more successful on the women's side because we said Netherlands, they came in first, Germany, who came in 11th, France 8th, Canada, who came in 3rd, Australia, who was top 5. Let's be frank here, 5th, and then Spain, who came in 7th. So, out of the top 6, we predicted 3 of them to be in that top 6, anyways. On the men's end, we didn't do too well. Let's be fair.
We said
Latvia, Serbia.
Yeah.
Serbia came in 3rd. USA, who came in 5th, so that's still in that top 6 there. France, who came in 17th. Netherlands, who came in 9th, Lithuania, who came in 16th, and Latvia, who came in 7th. So yeah, look, all of our credits just out the door on that one. Yeah, that was rough. Back to the drawing board.
Jeez.
So Vince, I got to know because you were watching a lot from home, right? So kind of the transition into the next segment here because we were there in person. We've already talked about. The vibe in the arena, what we saw on the microphones, the long days we had, the bonding experiences we enjoyed out there. And look, both of us wished you were there, but you weren't. You were at home. So talk to us. How did it look from your perspective?
From my perspective, like being at home, again, incredible venue. When it got packed, when Mongolian fans came in, standing room only, you see them like just packed in the corner. It's kind of like when you have it at Utsumiya and people are looking from that, great altar that you guys are at. But every play was a rocker, even when it wasn't Mongolian playing. Like, for example, a G-Man's dunk, this man was catching bodies, okay? Denzel training day was there. And I'm jumping up in my seat. The crowd is in it as well. The games had so much at stake, every single one, but the big moments, and again, giving you flowers, and I always will, you guys are my big brothers, to fantastic commentating. Claudia Pop coming out from Hungary, I guess we must talk when she's knocking down those twos to win the game. Amazing. When the final games for medals, it's the foul calling and the free throws being made and then the turnovers, people diving on the floor. It was great. watching this World Cup was one of the most exciting ever because also, and it's a great segue of what we just talked before, I didn't know who was going to win. After a while, our favorites started to go outside the window. I didn't know who was going to take it no more. Netherlands on the men is slowly stripping down. Mongolian for the women slowly going up. Not showing if this person's going to show up. Not knowing if this person's going to turn down. I mean, it was great. And watching the chat go hard. Like, people are literally, it's a podcast, we can talk about it. People are betting and screaming at the same time. No! I didn't have them winning? Are you kidding me? Yes! That's cool. Mongolian fans always flood the chat. You see those flags everywhere. But from all around, I was literally waking up at 5 in the morning with all the responsibilities I had. And there's sometimes I had my phone like this while I was sleeping in the bed and just listening to y'all, trying to get play-by-play. I'm like, all right, this is going to register in my brain. But then once I had like a couple of blinks, go right to my big screen TV, and I would have, and this is how it's crazy because since you guys got to realize, people are watching from America and all over the world, the times is so different. It could be 2 in the morning my time, but you guys are starting like at 6 p.m. or like 3 p.m. I would have group phase 1 here, the live one right here, and then group phase 3 here, and just trying to catch all of it so I'm like caught up with all the games. But that's the beauty of being on YouTube. And shout out to actually the FIBA page. If you guys didn't know, not only 3x3 page was streaming it, the FIBA page was streaming it as well. So we got more viewerships as well. So it was all around, and it was just exciting. It was just exciting World Cup, and we're gonna get into it, in a little bit. But when my Batgirl made that shot from Mongolia,
don't spoil it. Don't spoil it, Vince.
But but I'm saying, shots like that, moments like that, even on your couch, was just as exciting as being there. It could never replace it, but it had me pumped. And shout out to you guys for a great broadcast. I had a great time.
Nothing like being there, Vince. Trust me. I bet it was great from the couch, but it wasn't nothing like being there.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't know if it was the best World Cup ever.
Okay.
I would say it's the most surprising. Mm-hmm. It's the most improbable World Cup result that we've ever seen.
Okay.
In the fact that none of the favorites won outside of the Netherlands women. Mm-hmm. I still think the best, the most competitive, the most down to the wire games. For the total body of work would be 2019 World Cup Netherlands.
23 Vienna was up there too.
23 Vienna was up there. Even 2022 Antwerp was up there for me. But if I had to rank it, I would put 2019 Netherlands 1. I would make this one a tie for second.
Okay,
a tie for second.
I'll say I'm not going to say this brought the level of the tournament down. The one thing I think that's a knock on this tournament, outside of all the incredible storylines, right, and all the identification people can have with an underdog rising to the occasion and all that stuff. What made the tournament slow at first until teams adjusted is the officiating, and not to say anything negative about the officiating. Okay. I'm just saying that line of the stuff they called in the travel calls on the check, in the physicality of the games. It was different from what teams are used to on the pro circuit, on the women's series, on challengers and world tour. So there's a big adjustment period, especially the first 2 days, where I think on average there were like 11 fouls per game per team, which is incredible. That was way too much. And the games were so slow because of it. And all these travel calls, both on the check as well as on the court, the focal points for the referees.
And the missed goaltends that there was.
Missed goaltends
as well. I called that. Yeah, I don't know if that would change. Would that change the game if they did challenge that?
And then there was the controversial Ozawa shot. I mean, it was an incredible shot, but, on second look, it looked like he stepped out of bounds twice. Stepped out, came back in, stepped out on the one-handed catch on the shot. And this isn't to bag on the officials, but anytime the officiated becomes a top storyline, that's never a good thing for the game. It's never good. The officials are supposed to be invisible. The story is supposed to be dictated and written by the players, by the plays, by the moments. It should never be about the officiating, and that happened to be a prevailing conversation throughout the tournament. No shade to them. It's a hard job. It's a hard job, but we can't get on here and cap. We can't get on here and lie. It was
You're
it
right.
was major, and it affected outcomes of some important games.
I agreed, and I think that's the one thing I could find going back that where I was like, okay, so this wasn't the best FIBA 3x3 World Cup yet. I think it's up there. I agree with you, Kyle. It's either second or third for me. Although I have to rank 17 very high because I won a silver medal there. So I may have bumped it down to third because of that. No, but really though, it was up there, and especially, and we'll dive into the teams here in a minute. But I think again we're impartial, right? But I identify with the underdog because that's the position I came from in 3x3, right? We were never a big basketball country to begin with, and we worked ourselves up to, again, a silver medal at the World Cup in 17, in 18 as well. I wasn't a part of that team, but the underdog position coming from a position where you don't really have the resources, the players, the talent maybe to compete, and then working your way up to the Mongolian women, a silver medal. Spain, of course, has the talent, but they don't really feature top-level talent on the 3x3 roster ever. Now they come with some good players. They pick up a gold. All that stuff, I identify with that. So to me, it wasn't the best World Cup, but it was one of the more enjoyable World Cups.
I can agree with that too.
Yeah.
I enjoyed watching it. I mean, come on, you talk about, back 2019 USA, Hummel was doing his thing. I'm going to be with that. But you know what? You just said it beautifully, Baz. An underdog World Cup. It was the underdog World Cup. That's what it was.
It's
For all way around.
And that's a perfect transition because we got to name our overachievers for the World Cup. A tournament of overachievers defined by underdogs, by dark horses. I think we can all agree the biggest overachiever was the Mongolian women. I mean,
Yes.
that's a wash, right? Overachiever. Boz, what stood out to you most about that Mongolian team and about that run to the gold medal game?
It's the belief. I can dive into the stats, but it's the belief that they had in their system, in their approach to the game, in the way they were going to win these games, and the fact that they pulled them out. Because think about it. They played 8 games, a 6-2 record, right? Out of those 8 games, they scored game winners in 5 of their 6 victories. Brazil in the pool phase, Ukraine in overtime in the pool phase, China in overtime in a round of 16, USA down the stretch. They got some free throws, knocked down huge buckets, and then Poland again at the end of the game with that Adion Tsetseg pick and pop, slip 2, whatever it was. One of the most incredible shots in the tournament. They bought into their system, and they wanted to shoot the 2 ball. They wanted to shoot it at a very, very high clip. They topped the field in the amount of 2s taken by about 30 shots, maybe 40. Even if you count, so the round of 16 never gets added to the stats, right? So I went back and looked at that. They were 29 for 123 2s in 8 games. That's 15 2 attempts a game. That's insane. That is fully insane. But
Crazy.
that's what I'm saying. Like, they bought into that system, and they knocked enough down. Again, 29 of them. They knocked enough down to be competitive. I want to credit their defense and their rebounding too, because none of the stats jump off the page. But again, Adion Tsetseg, I think one of the most unsung heroes in this run. Right?
Facts.
Her post defense on Heng Yu Yang, who is about a foot taller than her.
Facts.
Telenga, who's a foot taller than her. Sarah Strong, who was maybe the best individual talent in the entire tournament on the women's end. She made life hell on them. She was physical. She showed contact. I'm going to go ahead and say every game she picked up 2 fouls just by throwing herself around, laying on the floor. But that's what you got to do to win, right? So they grasped at every straw they could to get W's. The crowd were at their backs. They never lost momentum in any of these games. Think about it. If they've missed 2 shots, did it ever feel like they were out of the game, Kyle? To me, it didn't. It always felt like they were right there.
In fact, to me, they dictated the pace. They set the tone in many of those games. The one that sticks out to me is the one against the USA. That was their game to lose. They led that game from start to finish. And For me, of course, Nanda is, I guess, what they call her.
Non-ammonium.
I'd call her. That might be pretty good.
Pneumonia.
The 18-year-old played with so much poise to be a teenager, hitting those 2 key free throws late against the USA in a big moment that put that game out of reach for the United States. Kulan, I mean, she's the heart and soul of that team, right? So she's going to get a lot of the fanfare, a lot of the credit, and deservedly so. But it was Aryan Setseg, Bat Girl, Bat Ardeen, to me, who was the MVP of that team. She was certainly an unsung hero. She had the most game-winning shots. While they did not shoot it well as a team from deep, she was 30% from long range. Led the tournament in scoring, 6.3 a game. So for her to have that moment and for that team to have that moment, I've never seen a run like that. Not just
Nope.
in 3x3. I'd have to struggle to think of an underdog on that level that performed in that way on the biggest stage in the sport. I mean, I'd have to really like dig deep and think back. So, overachieving, I think, is even an understatement. There was not a single person outside of the country of Mongolia that would have ever dreamed that they would win a game. Even
I'd even venture as far as to say that even the country of Mongolia had more hopes for the men's squad than they had for the women's squad.
Sure. And for them to do that, they didn't win the gold, but they might as well had. They are national heroes for their performance there, and they deserved it to continue to make plays in moments like that. It felt spiritual. Honestly, it felt spiritual what we were witnessing in front of us. The most incredible run, the most incredible story I've seen in 3x3.
Every time me and Kyle, every time they played a game and they would get a win you didn't expect, starting with them beating Brazil, then going on with
China.
a win over even Germany, the Olympic champs in pool play. Me and you would look at each other after the game, turn the microphones off. We'd look at each other and say, something's in the air. It's odd, but there's something in the air about this team. I don't know what's going on. Can they do it again? And then every time, going into China, we were like, this might be end the run, right? I want to believe, but I'm not there yet. And I remember texting before the finals day, texting Steve Sir. Of course, they made it to the semifinals after that victory over the United States. And I texted Steve, coach for the team, and I was like, Steve, first of all, congratulations and credits for you having the girls play like that. I don't know what you did with them, but their belief in the system, their belief in each other is incredible. The fact that they literally give the ball to an 18-year-old at this stage of 3x3 basketball and let her cook is insane. And the fact that they trust her like that and that she steps up and plays with this kind of poise and maturity is incredible. And I was like, look, Steve, I can't root for teams, but I got to say I'm believing in y'all because they've made it impossible not to. And that is, look, if you would have told me that beforehand, I would have just laughed at you. There's no way. This is magical. They had me, they had a lump in my throat on almost every win. I had to get a water after all these. I'm sitting there shaking. Kyle's out there screaming. It was.
I had to stand up when they beat the USA. Anything is possible.
So
that was a great call.
To that point, I think we all hit up Steve Sir to give him his flowers. But we know Steve Sir is a surgeon when it comes behind the arc, when it comes to 2-pointers. And those were his cubs. Those were his little ones. And what do? You pass on your traits to the people that's going to be ahead of you, the people that are looking up to you. And he taught them how to shoot. I'm pretty sure he said, look, you guys ain't going to body nobody. But I'm going to make sure you guys have archer precision every time you get that rock. They came off screens ready to shoot. When it was open, they were letting it fly. And again, as you said, they probably were looking at more of the men's teams when we talk about the country than the women's. But I got to give it to Kalan. We talked about her before in the last podcast, how long she's been in the game, what she's done for Mongolian basketball. She's never really advances. But I'll say this. She was the warrior princess, Kyle. As you said, she was swift as a coursing river, with all the force of a great typhoon, with all the rage and strength of a raging fire, mysterious at the dark side of the moon. This woman, if you saw in the timeouts, no matter what happened, she was vocal. She was talking about. Even when you saw those little pit-pat mistakes and Bas talk about, catching the travels and everything like that, they regrouped every time. As you said, that belief system was in them because they saw the first one they got cool. Got spanked by Spain, but after that was like, look, what do we have to lose? No one one thinks we could do anything. Let's just go. And they worked. When we talked about the underachievers, I'll break down that USA game, but we gotta keep getting those thoughts. Mongolian women, y'all all princess, and shout out to Mongolia.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The way they are celebrating them, that you saw what they did.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
It's great.
Now, Vince, you mentioned, I hate to kill the mood here. You mentioned underachievers. We give it to the Mongolian women as the overachiever. Now, do we want to go with the overachiever men's team before we get to the underachievers? Yeah.
I can touch on. If you guys want to touch on
it's got to be Switzerland, boss. It's got.
Yes, exactly. That's the team I had written down as well.
Yeah, it's Switzerland. They're the overachievers. You could have picked Spain now, but
yes.
But I think that we at least saw the potential in Spain making some noise. We made mention of it. Nobody saw this Swiss team coming. Nobody saw it. So for me, and I guess for you too, Boz, and you too, Vince, Switzerland men, the biggest overachiever.
Could we always get on Lausanne? We always get on Lausanne like, yo, Swiss ain't they don't do it. They disappoint us. They ain't like the Belgians, but the Swiss they just don't do it. However, Army of Four. There are more Udotan than a Swiss Army knife. Like, they had it. The Jukovic brothers, they did their thing. But Baz, you saw it. It was a work of art.
Best defensive team in the field. 16.3 points per game against. And I think they led the field, if we would keep track of these stats, in deflections. They are long. They are athletic. They get into passing lanes. They make sure you don't get a lot of looks from one. They make sure you get contested looks from two. And then they have the ability to score. And maybe in a weird way, because they don't really have traditional two-point shooters. Kazadi is more of a mid-range guy. Nathan Jurkovic can knock him down, but he's not really a volume two-point shooter. It was Jonathan Dubas, actually, who picked up the slack in that regard. And Thomas Jurkovic, whose form should be top five, at least three basketball shooting forms.
But he's kind of an unorthodox player anyway. I've always felt like, you got that job because your brother got you that job. Didn't you? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
That's kind of always how I felt about him.
The nepotism? You think it's nepotism?
So, of course, but that's
offensively,
that's why I didn't expect much out of him. But he had
offensively, I'd agree.
Yeah, he had one big game where he hit like 3 twos.
Exactly, but the credits, I think, for him should go to shutting the best ball handler on the other team completely out of the game. Again, with his length, with his athleticism, he shut down the worthies of the world. He made life hell on them, honestly. They couldn't catch a pass. If they did, he was right there. They couldn't get an open look. Now, I'd say this team in general, but him mainly, they fouled a lot. So I'd say that's the one discredit I could find. But this team, man, out of nowhere, I think I saw them play as a unit last year on the World Tour circuit as Fribourg, right? And I saw some of this because they won a bunch of challengers, and people forget about that. They never got it done on the World Tour, though, just the challenger circuit. But for them to grow into the tournament like this, have the type of confidence they had, and mainly lean on their defense and those deflections, they won the possession battle in every single game they played, right? They got more shots. They got forced the other teams into turnovers. Except for in the final, by the way, where Spain out-possessions them, and they had more turnovers than Spain. But that was an incredible run for Switzerland, man. And I don't think we've given them enough credit so far. So again, credits to them for fielding a whole new squad, by the way, compared to the Euro Cup qualifiers just a few weeks ago. Coach, Irvin Kogo came up with this team, said you guys are playing the World Cup, and they delivered, man. So. And it was cool to see because usually you'll see a World Cup winner have an offensive, minded team. I'd say Serbia is one of the bunch. They're more offensive minded than defensive minded. They'll smart you out of a game. The Swiss guys, they shut Serbia down, completely. They outplayed them at their own game. So yeah, that was.
I got a public apology though I had to do to Jonathan Dubas. A couple of podcasts ago, I was making fun of how he is like a stiff, basically block of wood that just kind of like he looks like plank that just waddles. He proved me wrong. He was mobile. He was agile. I didn't think he had some of those moves. So Jonathan, shout out to you, knocking down shots, getting to the rim, contorting your body. But I'm gonna go for what Kyle said. Also, the new squad, Zadi yadi 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 yadi. What? Jonathan? What? I loved his mid-range game the most. Dribbling to a spot, that short corner was his baby. Okay? His baby. Problem. A problem. All of them came together. Yeah, that's one thing.
I think the more Kazadi plays, his skill set translates really well to 3x3. I know that the mid range game is lost art. If he shows consistency shooting that two ball, he's going to be a tough player. I think he could be a top 10 player in the world. I'd like to see him be a little bit more aggressive, extend his range some. He started off slow now. I'd say his first 3 games, he was a little bit shaky. But when he kicked it into high gear, I think he was the X factor in helping them, make it to the medal game and ultimately win a silver.
Oh yeah, I agree.
All right, y'all ready to talk about underachievers?
Yes, I am.
Look at Bas. Bas got excited. Okay, Bas, I can tell you. Look, we can go down a whole list of the men's teams. Paris,
France for sure.
Lithuania. Yeah, I'm upset. Paris. I meant France, Lithuania. I mean, you can throw the USA in there as well. The Belgians, my God. It's a long list of men's teams. And we'll get into the women's teams too. But go ahead, Boss. So who you got?
Special chocolates.
Yeah, I was going to come out with Belgium here. But I want to highlight this team because they underperformed because of a sad reason.
Oh, no.
And I think the Mongolian men came in here with a lot more belief, with a lot more hope. Why?
Shame on you. Out of all those teams, you're going to pick the Mongolian men as your underachiever.
They're hurt and down a player.
Come on,
kicking a man when they're down, man.
Exactly, and that's why I want to mention him. Because that's why I want to mention him, and not because I want to get down on them or be negative about them. The reason I want to mention him is because they came out with 3 and played the hardest 3x3 basketball I've seen in a minute, and it was sad to see them underperform. I can go and break down why Belgium was bad. I can tell you a lot of reasons why these teams underperformed. The French men with all the mistakes they made. Lithuania, we already talked about them with the balance issues. But I didn't want to come in there and break a team down statistically and say this is why y'all underachieved. I just thought it was a sad story for the Mongolian men to lose Dugan Enkbot, one of the hardest workers in all 3x3 basketball. Okay. And underperform because of it. Because those first 2 losses in pool play, you could kind of get those calculated in, right? But then they face Montenegro and Japan. Those are the 2 games they had circled. Those are the 2 games they really needed to win to get out of that pool. For them to go in there with 3 and lose by combined 5 points to those teams, that's sad. And I didn't want to highlight them as an underperformer in the sense that I wanted to say they did bad. They played their hardest. They played their hearts out. But it was just it was a sad sight to see because this is a home team and you always kind of root for the home squad a little bit.
Yeah.
My biggest underperformer was Lithuania. I was as sure that they would get a medal as I am that Vince will never have a hairline. I was certain. It's just never. It's not going to happen. They're going to be on the podium. They're going to be bronze, silver, or gold. I just knew it. And they went out there and laid an absolute egg. I can't name one player outside of Januszewicz that played well. This is the worst I've seen Pukelis ever play. Jalgis, it seemed like it was contagious because Jalgis wasn't even his normal self. Kumpis could not make a shot. They're all better players. And I really felt bad because, Flight Mode has been working really hard to get recognition and to get a nod on the national team and to play on this stage. And, I don't know how good his chances will be in the future, based off of the way they performed as a team, as a collective, and individually, if he's going to be able to get that shot again. And that sucks for him because I like him and he's a good player and I wanted to see him perform well. Now, he's always like a variable, right? Because he doesn't always shoot it great. He always hustles, he always defends, he always rebounds. That's why he's on the team. But for Pukelis and Jalgis to play the way they did, now they would say that there were some officiating issues, and there certainly were some calls. All right, I've seen the film, but you can never blame the outcomes on the officials, right? You always have to take accountability when you lose, and they played poorly, man. That to me, bar none, they were my biggest underperformer at the World Cup.
As I mentioned too, I think they changed their play calling, their offensive approach for some reason, and again that might be down to national team stuff and people having more of a say in the way a team plays. I thought it was odd. That I don't want to go. I don't want to dive into this, but I thought it was odd.
I gotta take a comment because I think it was when Jalgis went to the line. He's shooting a free throw. He shoots, and then Kyle goes, "Oh, I think that was the announcer's jinx." And then Bas goes, "No, he was like 1 for 6 before he got in here. He's 1 for 7. It's not a jinx. It's an issue."
That was just the way it is.
It's him.
And I wanted to say that too with Lithuania. I'm a Evel Knievel fan. He was kind of absent. You look at his numbers, it's like, not him. It wasn't him. He didn't play like extreme, like couldn't score at all. But the foul line is something in the water. Teams in general sometimes is having trouble at this foul line. I don't know what's going on. Maybe it was the wind. You guys were there. You're saying the wind was picking up, but those are free throws.
Excuse. Okay? Yeah, those are free throws. I blame Pukelis more than I do anybody else because he's the centerpiece. He is the star. He's the guy that we talk about as a top 3 player in the league. He is the fucking Lithuanian. And he averaged 5.3 per game for an average player. Those are good numbers. 5.3 games, solid. Yeah. He's not average. He can't play like that on that stage. And he gets the praise, but he's also got to take the criticism as well, and it's squarely on his shoulders as the go-to guy, the star player on that team, to not perform on that stage. And that's with respect and love, because I love those guys. We talk all the time. There's no shade, but I expect better out of that team, man. That was really disappointing.
And I think my disappointed team, and again, it's weird because it wasn't that they played terrible. It's just they couldn't close out these games. So I don't know if they just lost them. The silver medalist, France. I looked at that squad, and every game was getting close, but you can't close out. We were finally giving wireless Ralph Wilson his praise, knocking down shots. But Joko, what you doing? You're supposed to be the defensive player of the globe. Okay, Rambo, where were you? Where were you, Rambo? You were supposed to be mullet-proof, okay? And then Frank Segala, I was waiting for his bag. I will give him credit where credit's due. Frank Segala has the deepest layup bag in 3x3, okay? He gets to the rim. Who does? Who does? The way he's doing this year, how he contorts his body and gets to the rim and finishes, who else?
Worthy's layup bag is crazy.
Okay, then definitely. Okay, 2.
Strahinia's layup bag is crazy. Even Barac's bag is layup bag. No, but I'll give. I'm not saying I side with Vince here, but I'll say this: Segala's added a lot, right? He's added like the hesitation, the high arcing finger roll. He's got a little floater. He keeps the ball away from people. I don't mind that bag. It's just the fact that this French team was constructed oddly to me, and I like their coach. Kareem is my guy, but I think he went for size, and I think that he figured that size would work on offense. Ralph Wilson played a good offensive tournament. On defense, though, he wasn't anywhere, and that breaks up the flow of that team. I think the Suhard Rambo pick and roll when they play on the pro circuit as Paris or Toulouse is kind of the centerpiece of their offense. He took that out because he wanted to get some more offense from Wilson in there, and that was a gamble, and that gamble did not pay off.
Oh, well, there's their story is somewhat incomplete too, to be honest, because they were going to advance to the play-in game. And who knows what might have happened once we got to the elimination rounds, right? But they didn't even get a chance to get there because of one of the biggest blunders that I've ever seen, right? In sports, not 3x3, in sports, one of the biggest blunders I've ever seen. So it's unfortunate for them for their story to have ended that way. When who knows, I think that French team might have been able to right the ship. I think that if they get another crack at it, they get a night to sleep on it, they make some adjustments. I think that collection of French players is good enough to maybe make a run. But
I agree.
it will forever be a shoulda, coulda, woulda situation for them, and that's unfortunate.
Any underperformance for y'all on the women's side?
Yes.
I got nothing.
Yes.
What? I'm
Czechia.
Czechia.
Tell me y'all didn't think Czechia won one 3x3 game the whole damn tournament. One 3x3 game the whole damn tournament. Kathleen Gunn?
Yep, done. Kathleen Gunn was done. No bullets. They had no
She
clicks.
had no ammunition.
Jet blanks. Jet blanks.
I was gonna say she was firing blanks. She wasn't even firing blanks. She wouldn't shoot the ball. She was she was incredibly passive. She disappeared on that team.
Right.
I was stunned that I picked Czechia as a potential dark horse. I put them in the same conversation as I was kind of putting Poland, right? I saw some similarities. And they won a single game the entire World Cup. That, to me, biggest underperformer in the women's competition. Y'all don't have anybody for the women? Nobody.
Yeah, I do. I got to mention France here because the record to me does not show their struggle in the tournament at all. They're 4-1, right? So they actually won 4 games. All 4 of those games came into pool, but again, they beat Hungary by 5. And that Hungary team wasn't all that good. They beat Austria by 1. And Austria is a team we haven't mentioned, but they made it a very close game with everybody they played. Sina Hurler is 18 years old, and she is on the rise in 3x3. She's going to be a good player, trust me.
Yeah.
They beat Canada by 1 in a 14-13 ugly contest. And then they beat Latvia by 4. That is not a resounding result at all. They got to the 21-point mark 1 time in 5 games. With that offensive talent on the squad, with Marie Manet only averaging 4 points per game, 21% from 2, top 5 in turnovers, that French team hugely underperformed to me, especially with a player like Camille Droguet stepping onto the squad because she actually played a good tournament. She averaged 6.5 points or something per game. She didn't play bad, but she is I don't say a role player, but I don't think she's the main offensive force on that squad, and she had to be because no one else stepped up. Milipi was invisible. Limousin's speed was
Milipi was invisible outside of that engagement, that proposal.
Oh my goodness.
I'm down on bended knees. Bas said he was thinking of Jagged Edge. Let's get married.
I just want to get married. Her knee popped out past Mongolia to back to Australia, hit Antarctica, came back to USA, then went to France, and then boomerang back. I was concerned.
Yeah.
I was actually concerned. I thought she wasn't going to get up. I thought she wasn't going to get up. Like I do when I reach for my backpack. I was like, no.
Oh, yeah.
But okay.
No, but what do you got, Vince, as far as underperforming the women's?
Again, how you have such a perfect tournament and fall to Mongolia. Perfect tournament.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect tournament.
You talking about
the people I said, and when it was looked at when I said frauds, and they were frogs, and you looked at me like I want to get my passport. I said, this is a young team. You even said it's a 7-day tournament. I don't think these ladies are prepared for that kind of stretch. I did say Hooper's Hoop. 23 years old is their oldest player, 6 more with Morgan Manley. All right, cool. Has good runs in under 23. You got Sarah Strong, can lead her, Michaela Williams, cool, Sarah. But I said this as soon as I was watching this team. Where is the leadership? Where is the experience? I'm finding out Sierra Burdick, the queen of USA 3x3, was playing 3x3, but at 3x3 BA. So you're telling me USA Basketball couldn't at least call her? I see Lene Harper on the bench and coaching. Good, she has that experience. But this is a young squad, and they got a rude awakening. Yes, you beat the number one team in 3x3 when it comes to women's and Netherlands. Great. You were struggling against Japan against all those under 23 national tournaments, like struggling. You win by a couple of points, and then you wipe them out. But then you go against Mongolia. Were you looking for style points? Give it to Sarah Strong and get out the way. I understand the fouls are going on.
I said the same thing.
Yep.
Said the same thing.
21.
That
You go
is,
to her 21 times, that's game.
Yeah.
Listen, that's not going to age well at all. Like, we're already talking about this as the biggest upset in 3x3 history, and the USA women are on the wrong side of it. That's a record of futility. And for the USA women to be attached to that,
Doesn't look good.
Ooh, that ain't good.
That's a sour taste that doesn't go away with Listerine. That's a sour taste with lemon. It's
that ain't good.
okay.
Yeah, that ain't good. That ain't good. All right. Can we turn the page to our statement squad?
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Sure.
All right, Vince, you want to start us off? Who was your women's statement squad?
All right, well, women's statement squad, and I'm going to say, and I'm going to give it to Canada getting that bronze medal, okay? Not having the Plouffe sisters stepping up what we need to do. And I was talking about how there was no leadership on the court when I was looking at it. However, they got the job done. One of those teams that never do well in the World Cup and everyone says, yes, they're going to do great. This year, they at least got on the podium. Thinking they're going a little bit higher, hey, things happen. I mean, but hey, look, I wouldn't want any other kind of script when it came to the championship game, the finals. But to them, Sasha is going to have that problem. It's going to be that problem throughout the entire 3x3 series when it comes to women. I just want Casey to learn how to score. Please score. Just score. You don't need to, just be defensive. 0 points a lot. Yes, you're defensive. Get on the board to help the team. Paige keep shooting. Brown, you got it, but I'll say it's Canada for me for that squad.
It's a good pick. I'm going to go with the Netherlands women, and the reason why is because they were the favorites. I don't want to say heavy favorites because I think a lot of people were getting behind that American team. They tend to because they come in with a lot of talent. But the way they started off that tournament, being on the brink of not even making it into the play-in game, to reeling off 6 wins in a row en route to gold, completely doing a 180 turn. Again, with the target on their back, coming into the tournament as the most dominant women's 3x3 team in the league this year, and to win gold in the way that they did when they got into rhythm, you saw Netherlands at their full potential. They are physical, they are relentless, they play you downhill, they D up. Janice Boonstra in the way that she stepped up as the tournament progressed. And how about Ilse Gout? Did I get that right, Bas?
Almost.
Ilse Gout.
Gouts.
40% from 2 in that tournament. She was always dependable, always reliable. I don't think that she got enough credit. And even ELS, the way that she stepped up too. Like, she played big. That was her first time playing at the World Cup. Was a little bit shaky early, made some bad fouls, but once she settled in and they gelled as a unit, you saw them develop chemistry as the tournament went on. And for them to win gold with the pressure on their shoulders, without their coach for 2 days, with an 0-2 start, to me that was a statement. That was like, okay, the Netherlands deserve the mantle right now. They are the best team in women's 3x3. And they proved it on the big stage, and they did it in an adverse situation. I had to give them their props. To me, they are the statement women's team.
You're right. So for me, I thought about, of course, picking them. I thought about picking Poland because I think Poland did make a huge statement.
Poland was my second pick. I'm with you, Bas. Yeah.
I opted out of that because I figured this is a team that didn't get enough love throughout the podcast. We haven't talked about them much. Japan women. I don't mind the way they played at all. I think they stylistically proved to be a nightmare to certain teams. Yeah. Again, coming out with that 21-16 victory over the Netherlands, that was actually the only game where they hit their twos at an accurate percentage. I think if they would have kept shooting them well, they could have gone further in the tournament. But I like the style they play with. It's something so different from what we see in 3x3 all the time. The the slow-paced, methodical game or the one-on-ones that we see a lot of teams take. This Japan team just went haywire, just completely hyperdrive on drives to the basket, drive and kick plays, shooting twos from the 45-degree angle, trying to get them in off the glass as well. They didn't make it far, of course, bouncing out to Canada in a huge way, 18-6 defeat. But I like the way they played, so I wanted to give them some flowers here. That's a squad to me that made a statement, specifically with that win over the Netherlands, but with all three of their wins in pool play.
All right, fellas, get your superstars ready. Get your superstars ready.
We got to get a statement squad for the men's out.
Come on, with the men, man.
Oh, okay, sorry. I was looking ahead.
I know. It's okay.
All right, so let's do this quickly then. A statement squad for me in the men's end. I know they didn't make it far, but I want to give them a shout out because they beat Serbia, and that's the Australian men's team. And we can go in on why they didn't make it far because I think they're still very inexperienced, and I think they lacked game planning in certain occasions. But they've proven to me that the top level they can get to might be the best team in the world with that win over Serbia.
My statement men's team, I hate to go with the gold medalist and for both the men and women, but it's got to be Spain. It's got to be Spain. I think that they are primed to wreck shop in 3x3. I think that we are about to see a changing of the guard in the league because of their versatility, their athleticism, their interchangeability 1 through 4. They are prototypical. They are ideal when it comes to constructing the 3x3 team. Everybody plays on both ends of the floor, some better than others. No shade, Carlos Martinez.
Oh, shit.
No shade. Carlos tries to D up, but he's not the best defender, right? But the more we see them on the Pro Tour, you mean to tell me you don't think that team is going to win several Masters coming down the pike? I think
if they play as a unit, yes.
If they play as a unit on the World Tour, right? We see that same team at the Europe Cup. You're not picking them as a medal favorite. I think if you're not, you're crazy. What they did in Mongolia at the World Cup, to me, was the biggest statement in men's 3x3. If you don't believe that team is coming, you're crazy. Germany played well too. They were in the discussion for me, but I gotta go with Spain, man. They come. No, not they coming. They here. They here.
Mine is deprived of one game. This team was down a player and played against the number 1 team in 3x3 technically on the World Tour. Puerto Rico. That's a statement right there. Down Nathaniel Butler, 20-19. Almost taking out a full Serbian team in the quarterfinals. We already know.
They had that game too.
Yeah. What?
Sure did.
Yeah.
Yep.
Antonio Relat, we already know this guy's a superstar. Mr. Allende, I like the way he was playing. That short corner was nice. But Luis Quasquin, one of the best defensive players in 3x3. Okay? One of the best. I will give him credit. We got no rim, Quasquin, whatever. This man tracks down the ball, gets a hand on it, keeps people in front of him, and if he does get beat, chases it down. To have that much energy, that much gas in the tank, and Mongolia, and as you said, Bas, you played there, that atmosphere, because we haven't really talked about the elevation that you're going to get tired and keep it on the necks of Serbia with a full squad. Big man Baraj, Strajan Str33ts, which again, we might be a little hurt. I hope he gets better. Dejan Majstorovic and the Bronco. What? That was a statement to the whole 3x3 world. Puerto Rico is here to stay. They get one more player, game over.
Imagine this. Nathaniel Butler was warming up, and he was good. And then he sat down in a chair, and he got up, and he's 36 years old, and his back said, you know what? We're done. That's it. It locked up.
Right before
if
the
he
game.
wouldn't have been hurt, it was right before after the warm-ups, bro. And if he wouldn't have gotten hurt, who knows? And then fatigue got him down the stretch with a bunch of unnecessary fouling. But I agree, that was a statement for sure.
I bet you if Relat got that shot 2 more times, he'd hit one of them. He got 2 looks at it. And they were just a hair off target. Relat's he's known for those kill shots. So, no, that's a good pick, Vince. All right, now can we get to the superstars? Is that all right?
Yes.
All right, now we get to the
Yes.
superstars. All right, okay, Vince. One men's and one women's superstar that stood out to you, that showed out.
That showed out, and even though, man, you may be mad 'cause I'm picking your golden boy, man. I'm picking your golden boy. Injured ankle, and still tried his best to take Germany all the way to the top. Fabian Giesmann, man. This brother has heart. He may not have experience, but he has toughness. If he starts getting more moves in his bag and not trying to be bully ball all the time, because you know with that young buck coming out of high school, going to college thinking, I'm going to dominate, then you realize, oh my God, everyone else is 6'9". Everyone else is 240. Oh, I thought I was the big dog. He's going to be a problem. He stood out to me because every game he would find his teammates. He would try to dominate down low. But again, any player that plays hurt and through it has my respect. This kid was hurt. I don't care what nobody says. He was hurt. And he did his thing. And I'm gonna call him that superstar.
I'm gonna go with the guy you just mentioned, the superstar that absolutely showed out. It was Antonio Lotto Relat. It was Antonio Relat, 10.5 per game. We mentioned the numbers. At one point, he was almost 60% from beyond the 2-point arc. He was 55% going into that game against Japan.
Yeah.
He was unbelievable. 11 of 11 from the free throw line. Made big plays in big moments. On that stage, you will not find a single player in the league that's got more dog in them than Antonio Relat. Because they rely on Relat a lot. I mean, they rely on Relat a lot on that team, and he has to deliver. If he doesn't deliver, like let's say he has a Pukelis type tournament, we aren't even talking. We aren't even talking about Puerto Rico. He's got to be 8+ a game. He upped that to 10.5 per, and came within an inch of beating a full Serbian squad, like you mentioned. Pushed him to the edge, lost that game by 1 point. He's a superstar. He don't even have to prove it. He's already arrived. Antonio Relat, he made the World Cup his playground this year. I was happy to see it. That's a bad man, and when Nate Butler gets healthy, they're gonna be something to deal with on the Pro Tour.
You gotta say it again, Moise. He's
You're
a
right.
bad mofongo.
He's a bad mofongo. You heard?
So for me, and I don't think we talk about this guy as a superstar yet, although we mentioned him earlier on the pod, but Ivan Aureo-Coetxea.
Get it right.
Aureo-Coetxea. I'll try, man. I asked him after the tournament how to pronounce his name, and he got it out in one try. I couldn't. Anyway, second leading scorer in the tournament, 7 points per game, 5.3 rebounds per game. Didn't shoot a single two, but finished inside the arc at an 80% clip.
Yeah.
The man was unstoppable. Purely unstoppable. A force of nature in a tournament with forces of nature. And that's on and off the court.
I see what you did
there.
there.
You go.
I see what you did there, B. Yes.
Man, I knew it.
No, but I think he showed up. His play underneath the basket was so stellar. He's very strong, but he's still able to move his feet enough to play defense, right? Something you can probably knock maybe Pukelis on, sometimes Giesmann, although Giesmann is very good at moving his feet on defense. But Aureo-Coetxea showed out to me, and I think he's an up-and-coming superstar in this game because I think that's 7 points per game average. If you go to the World Tour, and look, these four guys for Spain are not on the same team, mind you. But if he gets to the World Tour on a team, the man is going to probably average 9 instead of 7.
Yeah.
That would be my guess. So I like him. Now, I'll shift to the women's. Easy pick here, Noortje Driessen. At some point I had to go mention the Dutch, right? But for her to come in and be the second leading scorer in the tournament, right? 43 points scored, and that's discounting the round of 16, so 7 games. After scoring 3 points in her first 2 pool play games, that is incredible. So that means, 5 games, 40 points scored. That's the level of focus she brought. She was almost at 8.5 points per game, down the stretch there. And her driving ability, but also her passing into the post, the high lob passes off of the pick and roll to the mismatches down on the block, I think is what got this team a gold medal. And I think she really showed out.
For me, it's got to be Miss Popola, Alexandra Ziemborska. She was a superstar in the women's competition that stood out to me. I know it's odd saying that because they didn't win a medal, but that's the best basketball body of work that I've seen her put together. as a young player. I think she's 24, 20, maybe not even 25 yet. But to average better than 7 points per game for the better part of that tournament, to shoot the two at over a 40% clip throughout the entire tournament in those conditions, to show the leadership that she showed, to show the effort that she gave defensively and offensive, because they lean on her a lot on offense, and it's so difficult to be able to commit to scoring that amount at that clip when you also have to sometimes defend in the post at her size. You got to fight, you got to scrap for rebounds. She did it all for Poland. They came, super close to earning a medal. I thought they would beat Mongolia. That's not how things panned out. They came out flat in the game against Canada. They don't end up getting a medal. But for her individually, it was an incredible tournament. She was a superstar that showed out.
Mm-hmm. Superstars are around. And the funny thing is, and we have to give the superstar to the people that went all the way. Batgirl, oh my God. What? I'm not, please tell me I pronounce her first name so I don't get it wrong. Please pronounce it right.
Aryan Setsek.
Aryan Setsek.
That's the first time we've been in sync in this podcast. We can never get word on the streets right, but we got that right.
And Vince, I wanted to pick her, but I said, is she a superstar?
And this is the start of superstardom. For you to get...
She led the tournament in scoring.
Yeah,
you can't really...
I know.
She was on I was looking at her stats. She has the stats, but you have to think about what happens to those moments that make a superstar. Okay, this is gonna be crazy. We're talking about football. When Beckham first got into football, he hits that off the pitch goal. People said, "Oh man, Beckham can now play." That was the start, and it opened up the world for him. Okay, Jordan first coming to the league. What's his rookie gonna do? He can't do nothing. Biggest shoes down the world. Showed out, had his moments. Batgirl had that, but to have that in again, with everything on the line. You saw the emotion after, for her to knock it down, but let's see if the momentum builds. She has superstar tendencies. She has superstar abilities. She's not a superstar yet, but I have belief in it. As you had Fabian Giesman as saying that he's the future, I ain't saying she's the future 3x3, but I'm saying she's definitely has a future being a superstar on that Mongolian team and helping them get more wins. So I'm going to give it to Aryan Setsek.
All right. I'll take that. Let's go with breakout names that performed well in this tournament. I got to admit here, I put Aryan Setsek there.
Bas,
I'll pick another player.
Well, we should probably that'll get redundant, right? Because we've already we've named a lot of breakout players.
I got one I want to mention.
You got one?
Okay.
All right.
That's on the men's side.
Okay.
So I'll skip the women's side because again, Aryan Setsek was my pick here. But on the men's side, and we haven't talked about them much because they were done in pool play. But Dwayne Lache Ogunleye for Great Britain averaged 10 points per, and the man put on a clinic. I could have gone with Ryo Ozawa here as well, right? Because Ryo was at 11.5 points per game, but that whole system is geared for him to score, which I don't mind. I actually like that. But D'Lo was getting to it. He was shooting the two at about a 30% clip, but mainly his physicality and drives towards the basket, his craftiness around the rim, and his ability to finish through contact really stood out to me. And again, Great Britain, a team that maybe slightly disappointed me in pool play, even though they played some competitive games. I thought they might do better, but I hope to see more of D'Lo on the 3x3 circuit.
That's a fact. That's a good pick. That's a fact. All right, you got superstars, but you also have some of those unsung heroes, the glue guy and the glue gal. Bas, who was your glue gal that stood out to you?
So the glue gal that stood out to me most on a new look Canadian team was Cassandra Brown.
Oh, nice.
There you go. You took my pick. Yeah, you go ahead. You took my pick. Go ahead.
No, Cassie Brown came through, and again, this Canada team came in with a full different look. They started playing a different style of offense. Gone is the ploof pick and roll, right? They usually worked around that. Now they rely more on individual creation, and she really shone in that individual creation, and not just by getting players down on one knee, but look, her drives to the basket. Yeah, we got to keep mentioning that because that's a forever highlight there. No, but Cassie Brown. I mean, we got to get her a nickname at some point. See, what'd you call her?
Just her initials, CB, C
Oh, there you
Breezy.
go. See, Breezy. But look, her driving ability at her length to get to the basket when she did, finishing the one at a 60% clip, right around the rim all the time. Actually knocked down some twos. Not a great volume, also not a great percentage. But I like the way she played. She stepped up in a tournament where Paige Crozon, especially the first couple of days of play, could not buy a bucket. Crozon stepped up huge on the finals day. But before that, she could not find a basket anywhere. She was rebounding, but she couldn't do it. And Cassie Brown stepped up, and took a bunch of that scoring load off of Crozon, made sure her team stayed in games, had a game-winning drive, I think in that game against Spain to seal that game up. I didn't mind her. So maybe, I don't know if you would consider her a glue gal, but I think she deserves some
No,
credit.
I think so. I think she's the perfect right hook to Sasha Grant Allen's left hook. And numbers-wise, if you combine Brown's and Grant Allen's numbers, it's not too far off from what the Blue Sisters would normally deliver for the Canadians, right? So that new combination they have I think is going to work out fine. But like Bas just mentioned, it was Paige that struggled mightily. And they depend on her in that offensive scheme and system to all of a sudden you aren't seeing those games with the margin of victories of 1 and 2 points, because she's going to hit a couple of twos there, and all of a sudden that's a 6-point win for Canada, a 7-point win for Canada, a 5-point win for Canada. And Casey Bosch struggled too. So she was also my glue gal pick, but for honorable mention I'll throw in Ilse Goud.
Ah, you got me. That was my pick. That was my pick.
Ilse Goud, because I mentioned her 2-point shooting. I think it was underrated. To me, she was the only constant on that Netherlands team. Now, of course, Nortje picked it up, but when she started off averaging, she had 3 combined points through a couple of games, right? But Kout was consistent throughout the tournament. She was dependable, made big shots for them. She defended well. So to me, as a glue gal, she stood out.
And I literally have it right here in my notes. And led in key assist. So unselfish. Understood what the open woman was. I was gonna give it a quick to it. Oh yes, that's the glue. That's the glue in that Netherlands team. She kind of reminds me, but now Medieval is now becoming more of like the dominant force on Netherlands when he steps up. But she's also that she can score when she needs to. She can shoot. But yeah, I was saying that she's a glue girl. So I mean, you picked my pick. The only no.
That's all right. Vince will let you go first on glue guy. That way nobody can steal your pick. You go first.
Glue guy?
Yes.
I already shouted him out. Louis Quascut. I remember that when I was saying his name on Puerto Rico. He's the epitome of that dude you bring to a bar that's going to fight for you. He's going to play defense. When you need him to step up, he's going to step up. He doesn't have to be so crazy offensive on the court. He keeps that team together. I think he's loud too. He gets emotional. Kind of like Mihailo Vasic gets into the game and shows emotion. He does that too. And you need someone that has that spark, who's ready to get your team riled up. I give it to him.
All right. Here's the glue guy who really isn't a glue guy, because I think he's got a chance to be a star, but on this particular team, he is the glue that holds them together. He's the leader. He's the veteran. He's the connective tissue. He's the piece that this team misses on the Pro Tour. I'm talking about Leon Verteeg of the Germans. Leon Verteeg, his display of leadership with that German team, in conjunction with the way that he played, right? Especially in that game against Serbia. I know they lost, right? This guy got beat up. He never got rattled. And when they realized that they were when they realized they weren't going to win that game, Leon Verteeg walked around to every single player on that team and he said, "Keep your chin up. This isn't the last time that we're going to be here." Because Giesman and the other guys were emotional. They're young guys. So, they become prisoners of the moment. But we've seen Leon Verteeg grow up before our eyes. I think he's the perfect complement to the talent on that team. And he himself can take over a game. He got hot. He was on fire that last day of play.
Oh yeah.
Gritty, tough as they come. He's not really a glue guy, but on that team, he's not the star. Giesman's the star. Ajiman is probably your secondary option, and it's between him and CD Bekame as the next guy in line. So for me, hands down, Leon Fertig, he gets my glue guy of the tournament award.
All right. I like it. I actually, so I dove into some teams that didn't make it all the way until the final day, just because I figured we'd be talking about the finalists here a lot. But I want to give credit to, and I'll take a couple honorable mentions here, but I want to give credit to Xingryu Wu.
Ooh.
Wu played an incredible tournament for China, and he did not pop off the page with his stats, right? So 3.8 points per, third leading scorer on China. But as you remember, in that overtime game against France, Xiang misses a wide open 2. Wu traces down a rebound, throws it over the backboard, and then Xiang tips it in. He's the guy that got him a lot of extra possessions. He got a lot of blocked shots and alterations at the rim. I think he worked his butt off. I really think he was the glue to hold them together, because you had Zhang firing on offense. Guo was going to the basket. Xiang was missing all his shots, so he wasn't a factor in this tournament at all. And Wu kind of kept that team going and kept it together. So I like the way he played a lot. Now, again, a couple of honorable mentions here. I think the main one I want to throw out is Jerome DeRoger for Canada. Jerome played a good tournament too. Jerome, I mean, look, he's not the individual creative force that they were looking for. Rooms actually stepped into that role quite decently. I didn't mind Rooms at all. But he averaged the same amount of points as Jerome, because Jerome was knocking down his twos, but he was finishing the pick and rolls. He was getting them rebounds. He brought the veteran leadership. So I really liked what he was doing. And then I like Yuki Nakanishi for Japan.
Ooh.
That system is geared towards Ozawa getting every single shot. But it's Nakanishi's speed and his offensive rebounding that gets them a bunch of extra possessions, and that makes sure that Japan is at least somewhat winning the possession battle. Now, again, winning is going to come down to whether Ozawa can knock down a crazy volume of twos. That doesn't always happen, but I like the way Nakanishi played as well.
And also, real quick, Wu got some bounce. Duncan in the Austria game? I didn't know this guy.
Bouncy like the gravel pit.
Yes.
Kyle still don't know that song.
No, I saw Method Man starts that.
But I thought that came because when you go over a gravel pit, the rocks jump up. That's what I thought that.
I'll send you the song.
No. When you watch the music, I remember the music video. There's some bounce in there.
you mentioned bounce, and you mentioned jumping, right? We got to get to that single moment that stole the show.
Can only be a few.
Well, of course, there's the Aryan Setseg, game winner against Poland. Like, that was crazy. But I'm gonna go with a highlight. Denzel G-Man on Casper Augustinian. Have you seen the screenshot of this yet?
Oh yes.
You want to do it? You want to do it training day with the King? King Kong ain't got
shit on me.
What?
That's all I saw when Denzel went up with two hands on him. But see, the you know what? The photographers are wrong, man. They dirty for taking that shot. And you know what? They actually go through the selection process to pick the one that makes the man that got dunked on look the worst. They could have picked a shot where he was just going up, but they picked a shot where Casper was like this. He was sideways with his arms out, and he was looking up at the man as the man was doing something to him. The man was dunking on him, and he's looking up at him. The man that's hurting you right now has no mercy on you. He wants this to look as bad as it possibly can. And the photographers make sure they pick the shot where this man is completely helpless. And then Denzel made it even worse, because as he swung off the rim, he put one of his hands between his legs while he was hanging on the rim and looking down on his victim.
Look,
and I said, man, this can't happen.
I thought Diddy was convicted. I'm sorry.
Oh boy,
it was a Diddy party. It was bad. Yes,
that dunk was baby oil.
That was an assault. So I'm gonna go with that for my standout.
Can I go next, Boss?
Moment in the game.
Go ahead.
I want to talk about the most technical back and forth I thought was the right decision, but wasn't the right decision in 3x3. Frank Segala forcing technical fouls against a referee, thinking it's the right choice to do, because in his mind, he's computing it's about numbers.
No.
If we go to OT.
Hold on. Vince, in his defense, it was not Segala's decision. He's going to take the heat for it, but it wasn't just strictly on Segala. That was a team decision.
The info he had.
Yes.
Yeah. So they got the info before the game. With the info he had, it was brilliant. Let's just say that, and that's what I called it on the stream too. He thought he had to get the 18 points. He couldn't figure out a way with 1 second on the clock in the game at 16-15 in their favor, so he forced technical fouls. He walked away with the ball, played keep away from the referee,
Never seen
got
it before.
the team to overtime.
Yeah.
But it's on the coaching staff to get them the information that a win is all they need.
Okay, go ahead.
But I agree with
No,
you.
I think I'll get deeper. But
we stole your thunder there, Vince. Sorry.
I'm just saying, never seen that before, because all we're going is like, again, me watching at home. Is he being a jerk? Like, what is he doing? And then you go, why is he trying to force it to? Oh, he's to put. Oh, and the blocks kept hitting because it was literally like having eggs, milk, flour, and sugar. Separately, it's like, oh, this is gonna taste terrible. But you put all together, you get a cake. Everything start making sense as the game was going on, and you're like, oh, that's what he's doing. Oh my God, I would never even compute that in mid-game. Let's just say if it did play towards right, one of the most intelligent 3x3 minds or plays that would ever been done in real time. But again, didn't work out that well because, as you said, the numbers were off. But to me, that was like crazy for me.
So I wrote down, of course, the Adrian Tsetsek pick and pop versus Poland, the biggest shot in Mongolian basketball history, right, to get them to the finals. That was huge. I also wrote down the worthy block and game winner on Pukelis, which I thought was a nice moment because, that game was going to go Lithuania's way. Pukelis usually hits that shot, and he gets the block and knocks down the two. But as we were talking this through, I remembered one moment, and I'll voice the call on the moment here so you guys know. Because the man in the middle here, Kyle Montgomery, screamed out, "Stithas get stitches," as it happened.
Barach
Wow.
viciously yams it on Dylan Stith. And look, it was early in the tournament, so I'm sure that it might get lost in time, but that was a mean dunk. It was mean enough for him to bump into Stith and the referees to tee him up on the spot. Like,
Nope.
That was vicious. Barach, the man is a leaper, right? And he usually finishes with like a soft touch layup around the rim, whatever. But every now and then he gets a little pissed off, and he'll do something like this where he just takes someone's head off, and it was incredible, especially because Serbia is down in that game, or it's early in the game anyways. And then Australia, it kind of lights a fire under them. Yeah. Stith tried to pick a fight with him afterwards in the sense that he tried to keep going at him in the post, and Australia get a dub because of it, because Antonio gets really hot at the end of that game. But the jam itself,
that was mean.
I will not soon forget that.
We knew Barach had that in his bag. I'm gonna throw in one honorable mention of just a memorable play that happened. How about Jan Driessen? When the Netherlands were dead in the water against Great Britain. Now, he did this last year at the World Tour final. And he ties up Evan Walsh, top of the key, after the check ball. Right? Great Britain are up. Game is done. Right? They're down 2. All they have to do is hold the ball. They get fouled, go to the free throw line. Game's over with. Driessen ties the ball up, earns the possession for the Netherlands, sets up Worthy for the game-winning shot. To me, that was also one that was hard to forget.
And then one more honorable mention, because I think this was an upset when it comes to women other than Mongolia. Canada versus Hungary. We talked about Claudia Paparazzi, and both of you were what is she going to do? And at the same time, you said, you're not going to attack, you're going to attack! Crawls out on this one. And again, she did have back-to-back moments for Hungary. still having that fight, but then finishing up over 45 seconds, and then of course Canada couldn't convert that last shot. That was just a moment to me for a Hungary win to go against a top Canada, well, a decent, really high class Canadian team. Just to give it for the ladies. Shout out to the Hungarians.
All right,
All right.
gentlemen. To start with Bas, like you got a thought. You got a thought. What is it,
No,
Bas?
no. I'm
I was
good. I was going to start going into the next segment
I
here.
was gonna say to start kind of putting a button on on the entire tournament. Oh, we got all of our takeaways from it, but big picture wise, from the teams, from the performances, is there a global shift happening in 3x3? And if there is a global shift occurring right now, where is that power balance leaning towards? What are those teams?
So for me, it was very clear that this is a transition year, right? So you're coming out of the Paris 24 Olympics. You kind of retool your system, retool your team. You start working around a set of different players, and that's what we saw here in 2025, right? And now the next Olympic cycle will start at the end of this year. So certain teams are going to take something very positive away from this. Obviously, the Mongolian women, the Spain men, the Switzerland men as well. They got the job done. I'm not sure the full power balance has shifted, but the new players have stepped on the scene. That is the key takeaway for me here. Again, Spain coming in there and picking up a gold. The young Germans coming in fourth. Poland leading into that Warsaw 2026 World Cup with a top 4 finish as well. And some of the more traditional powerhouses in 3x3 in Spain and France on the women's end, Belgium, Lithuania on the men's end, out early in the tournament. France even, but that was because of a mistake. China not doing too great, both on the men's and the women's. It showed me that these countries are still working towards their full form. Again, the end goal here for a lot of teams, a lot of federations, is the 28 Olympics in Los Angeles. It made for a very enjoyable experience. I think some of the power has shifted. I think especially with the men's, the young Germans, they have arrived. They're on the scene, and I don't think they're going away unless somebody gets injured, knock on wood, or a player leaves for a big-time 5-on-5 league. But to see Serbia still on the podium, that's a powerhouse that's there to stay, of course. And for the women's, the Netherlands, I think this was their arrival to the top of the scene on the World Cup level, right? They've won the Europe Cup before, but never a medal in the World Cup. So, yeah, I could see the power balance shifting here a little bit. I'm curious to see what it's going to look like in 26 when teams are going to try to field the team that should compete for that 28 Olympics, though.
Bas, couldn't have said it better myself. Again, that's why you are the professor of 3x3. That's why you got the glasses. Kyle, you had your points back and forth. You are the voice. You are the GOAT. Over 104 games. That was a very exciting World Cup. Up for debate for many people if it was the best. But look, over a 2-hour special edition of Word on the Streets when it comes to the World Cup 2025. But don't forget, 3x3 is not over. We're still kind of in the beginning. We still got the women's series, which is going to be crazy. We still have the world tour that's still going. Teams are now getting better. As Bas said beautifully, there is a global shift in power in the game, and you have to stay tuned to see it for yourself. Now, this has been a great podcast. I'm with my brothers. And do you guys have any closing statements before we go?
Make sure you like, subscribe, follow at Word on the Streets. Replace the E's with threes. Y'all know the deal. We coming back soon with a new episode.